is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
Hello and welcome into another edition of Three-Ma. I am John Kurtz, joined by Derek Young and Cole Manbeck. We've got a grab bag for you, and it's traversing three sports today because you know we've got a lead with K-State baseball as the Wildcats are headed to a super regional for the second time in school history and the first time in 11 years. Congratulations to Pete Hughes and company, and that means they get the honorary toast here to start the show, which of course is brought to you by our friends at Holiday Distillery, Ben Holiday Bottled and Bond Bourbon. I'd imagine that's probably what Pete Hughes is drinking and raising a glass of right now, some Ben Holiday Bottled and Bond Bourbon. So make sure that you have yours, too, to complete the toast. Get it for the lake this summer, Bill Snyder Family Stadium this fall when you get ready to tailgate. You can also check out 360 Vodka, multiple great options there from Holiday Distillery. But they are great K-State folks who support us on the pod, so please do support them as well. Man, what a weekend. Somebody who did 7 years of K-State baseball play-by-play. There were times, I'm not going to lie, during that where I thought, like, oh boy, don't know if we would ever see something like what we saw over the weekend, which is K-State getting back to a super for the first time since the Big 12 championship team in 2013, and they did so by wiping out number 5 Arkansas, 5th-ranked team in the country. They threw the best pitcher in college baseball in that game on Saturday night, and K-State got it done. They scored twice as many runs as anybody has on Hagen Smith the entire year. Took down SEMO to end the series. And actually, I shouldn't just gloss over the fact that they had to wait an extra day through a rain delay. They sweep the Arkansas Regional while having the first game rain delayed and having to play part of it the second day. I mean, it was just an incredible effort all weekend by this team. Now they'll head to Charlottesville to take on Virginia in a super, but huge congrats. We knew, Cole, I think, in DY that this team was really, really talented the entire year. D1 baseball, I know some of those guys had ranked them in the top 25 at the beginning of the year based on the talent. It's been a little rocky at times this year, but they certainly seem to be peaking at the right time right
now. They scheduled up this year to give themselves this kind of opportunity to help their RPI so that's not like something that held them back from making the regionals. That worked out. Now they didn't win many of those games, but they lost to Tennessee, they lost to Clemson, they lost to UConn. I think they lost to Nebraska. But I think those games kind of made them, it tested them and battle tested for these moments. There wasn't any shock to the system because you got to play 6 Big 12 teams made the NCAA tournament. And then there's non-conference games that I mentioned, and I'm probably missing a few that were also challenging. So I just think that though they didn't win those non-conference games, I think it was pivotal for them to have those experiences because it probably helped them a lot this weekend in Fayetteville by just having that. And, I would reference the Arkansas game. Look, you look at the stats it's probably on paper not a game it looks like they should have won. I think they got out-hit 13-5. I think Hagen Smith had a 50% strikeout rate, but they just found a way. They manufactured runs, had some 2 timely hits there for the Kalen Culpepper 3-run homer, and Chuck Ingram went the other way and knocked in the first run, I believe. I think those were probably the 2 big timely hits, and then Nick English's homer, of course. But other than that, you kind of manufactured it the rest of the way. A couple good bunts, which people roll their eyes at because that's Pete Hughes loves to kind of go that route. But, you guys can attest to this. I said it in our group chat. I was like, this is probably the game where he needs to start resorting to that because they just weren't putting enough balls in play to really, make Arkansas sweat. So once they just, trying to play a little small ball and put the ball in play, Arkansas made the mistakes and couldn't execute just some of the simple stuff. And that's why Kansas State took the advantage there and never looked back.
Yeah, an incredible effort against Arkansas, and I think what was so impressive about how that shook out is Arkansas takes the lead after you make a couple defensive mistakes in the top half of the 5th inning, and K-State responded immediately in the bottom half of the inning and scored 6 runs, highlighted by the end of it with Culpepper's 3-run home run to right center that put a 6-2 lead. Tyson Neighbors guts it out, gives him 67 pitches to get the final 10 outs of the game, gave up some runs, but he worked through it, struck out the last batter to end the game. Some really tenuous, tight situations that he had to battle through over the last few innings, and an energetic, chaotic atmosphere, frenzied atmosphere that Arkansas had with 11,000 plus, one of the best atmospheres in all of college baseball. You could sense the energy just from watching it on TV and how difficult of an environment that is with Hagen Smith on the mound. There's going to be a top 5 pick in the 2024 MLB draft. To overcome those obstacles, to come out with a win. Jackson Wentworth was also terrific, 5 2/3 innings of 2-run baseball for the Wildcats in that game. But the thing that really stood out to me is, as you look at the overall region and what Kansas State did, is it was just different guys stepping up and making big plays or contributing at different parts in each of the games. I mean, I could go down the list, but I think one of the biggest storylines, look, Culpepper obviously is going to get the headlines. He was the Fayetteville Regional MVP, goes 7 of 12, hit for the cycle against Louisiana Tech, had 2 home runs over the weekend, had 7 RBIs. There's no denying how incredible he was, but Chuck Ingram, to me, is one of the biggest headliners because he just adds so much to the depth of this lineup. And it was Mitch Fortner that tweeted last night that Chuck had been hitting under 140 in the back half of the season. He was in a huge funk. And you just hoped that as they got into postseason play, maybe a guy like him who's superbly talented, transfer from Wichita State, was a huge get in the portal, was having a great year in the first half of the season. You just hoped he could hit the reset button and, recharge mentally. And he comes out of the gate, homers in his first at bat against Louisiana Tech, and he ends up going 7 of 11 over the weekend with a couple of home runs, with 6 RBIs. You got to hope that continues and carries on for him, and the mentality, the confidence is up because he just lengthens the lineup. He gives them power that they so badly need as you go down that lineup. And, look, I mentioned Culpepper, I mentioned Ingram. You look at Nick English, obviously a true freshman, somebody that, I have a great deal of respect and admiration for because my neighbors next door, you guys hear me say all the time, they're just an amazing family. Nick, a true freshman.
Wait. Hold on. Wait, Nick English is your neighbor?
I know. I talk about it a lot, but it's because they're an amazing, incredible family. I've taken a keen interest in obviously watching more K-State baseball than ever before, largely because of that. Incredible kids. Obviously, Jake, starting catcher for KU, best catcher in the Big 12, first team all Big 12 this year, one of the nicest kids you'll ever meet. And then Nick doing what he's done as a true freshman. And, yesterday, gets 2 walks to really spark the, leadoff walks in both, I think the second, can't remember which inning, second inning, third inning. Both times they scored the 4 and the 3 runs. Nick led it off with walks. He scores 2 runs. He obviously had the key home run to left field to give K-State a 7-4 lead against Arkansas on Saturday night. That was proven to be the difference in the game with that insurance run on the solo shot to left. So thrilled for him, but also just thrilled for all the different guys that stepped up throughout this weekend. Cole Weisenbaker was terrific yesterday with 3 shutout innings. Ty Rule, 4 shutout innings to start the game. And we were told, Ty Rule was getting back into form. He'd struggled all year. He's been hurt all year. He got hurt in the first weekend or second weekend of the year against Holy Cross at home and had battled back. And now it looks like he may be returning to form, which is not something to be undertaken. He threw 76 pitches yesterday. He could be that number 3 starter now for you, somebody that they thought going into the year would be their number 2 starter as he really finished strong last year. So if you can get Ty Rule on track here and that momentum carries on and the success that he had on Sunday carries on to next weekend, have 3 starting pitchers you can probably count on and you feel good in a 3-game series as a result.
That's really the thing, man. It always comes down to pitching. And when you think about going up against a team like Virginia, that's a really proud program and a team that can swing the bats. I mean, that's what they're known for this year. They can really, really hit. You're going to need some pitching. And that's why, such many reasons why it was such a huge win over Arkansas in the game on Saturday. But the obvious one is then you get that, you just have to win 1 more instead of Arkansas all of a sudden was having to win 3 more. And that's where your pitching staff gets really, really taxed. And K-State has had a lot of teams that can hit the ball pretty well. I mean, Pete Hughes has been able to inject a lot of life into the bats, but that's the toughest thing. I mean, it's the toughest currency in baseball, and it goes for college baseball, is just pitching. And so that's where that can fall off. So that is low-key a massive thing that happened this weekend is Ty Rule throwing 4 shutout innings. It was 5 strikeouts, 3 walks, 2 hits. That was really, really confidence-inducing because you knew that you had 3 pretty darn good pitchers, arms, and of course the 2 starters and neighbors that I'm referring to there. If you now have a fourth that you feel like can be a real frontline guy that has kind of like frontline upside there. I mean, that can be massive going into a 3-game series in Charlottesville.
With some Virginia stats I got from Drew. So their team ERA is over 5.5. So it's not a team that really pitches. But they hit 338 as a team. They really hit it. They've scored 10 or more runs in 25 games this year and 20 or more runs in 5 games.
Yeah, it's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. The pitching staff will definitely be tested and stretched. But and the good news is it was like everybody seemed to respond to the moment. And I don't know that the moment gets much more difficult than the situation that you were facing in Fayetteville on Saturday with that home crowd. So, because Cole is right, like Arkansas, I mean, that is one of the best places to go play and watch college baseball. Like, that's a really, really tough environment. And, on the non-con schedule point, probably the fact that they had done some of that early in the year down in the South against some of those top-tier programs helped them out here at this point. So, yeah, I think it was smart scheduling.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can emphasize that point enough. I think scheduling the way that they did, you look at, they played nine games now against teams in the top 15 in the RPI. 9 of those games are against teams that are host sites, national seeds in the NCAA tournament. When you factor in Oklahoma, 3 games on the road, 3 games in league play against Oklahoma State, and then at Arkansas, at Clemson, at Tennessee, the number 1 overall national seed, Clemson number 6 national seed. Then you go to UConn, who's playing on Monday in the regional final to try and advance at OU to go on to the super regionals. You went to Northeastern, which was a big win. Northeastern just narrowly missed the tournament, a top 40 RPI team as well. You went to Nebraska, DY mentioned. So you amped up the schedule. You played in atmospheres like this, which you go down to Fayetteville and you win in a place where they're 34-3 at home. Arkansas over the last 3 seasons, 94-16 at home, a winning percentage of 85.4%. Well, now you're going to go to Virginia and play at a team that is 29-7 at home this year, and over the last 3 years, 95-17 in their home stadium, which is an 85% winning percentage. So you're going to go into one of the best, another great atmosphere. 6,000 plus will be in Virginia for the games, and yeah, I think that's a huge point. I know we got to go to break in just a minute here, but I also just, want to emphasize as well that, John, you mentioned, like, this is a team that had a lot of talent heading into the season. Kansas State, that is. I mean, Kendall Rogers, a D1 baseball guy who's covered the sport for a long time, someone a lot of respect for. He tweeted last night, quote, "We had the Wildcats preseason ranked in the D1 baseball top 25, and it was heavily debated. The talent has been there all year long for the Wildcats. It is cool to see it all come together," end quote. I wonder, this is a purely opinion speculation from me, but I just wonder, with the expectations that were put on this team's shoulders going in, if things like maybe down the stretch, they got a little uptight, right? There was a lot of pressure on them to get to the NCAA tournament. This is Pete Hughes' 6th year, really 5th, though, because the COVID season you throw out. There was no postseason that year, but a lot of pressure on these guys' shoulders to get to the tournament. And to me, it just kind of looked like from the start on Friday night against Louisiana Tech and on, that these guys were playing loose. They were relaxed. They were in that moment, and they just let it all go, and they outscore their opponents 33-12. They dominate La Tech, a really good baseball team, the 2 seed in this regional. They dominate them 19-4. They overcome some odds and weird circumstances with the rain delay until 1 a.m. and then come back the next day, finish that game out 6th or 9th innings, and then you got to face an ace and a fresh Arkansas team, and you'll come back and win that game. So I just think maybe a big weight was lifted off these guys' shoulders just by getting into the postseason. And now, they're a talented team. I mean, we talk about Virginia going to be such a difficult matchup, but you got to remember, K-State's got 3 guys on this roster in Jackson Wentworth, Tyson Neighbors, and Kalen Culpepper. Culpepper going to be a first rounder, Neighbors potentially a second rounder, and Wentworth projected to go in the top 5 rounds of the draft. MLB.com has him as the number 163 prospect in the draft. K-State has a lot of talent. And so Brady Day, 12th rounder last year, they've got pieces here. They can go in and win this series.
They can. It feels, my initial read now, look, I'm not going to pretend like I'm super invested in college baseball this year. Like I said, I did do many years doing play-by-play where I was paying much more attention to college baseball. I'm not going to try and masquerade like I have been fully locked in and dialed in this season. But my initial read on Virginia was I was kind of like, for what you're going to get going on the road in a super that seems fairly manageable. Like, I was dreading looking at Virginia's numbers and seeing like 3 Hagen Smith kind of caliber pitchers, because a lot of times that's what you would get, and I would think, well, that may be a little bit dicey. I'll take my chances if it's going to be like slugfest sort of a series. I mean, I was just looking, like, K-State's team ERA is about the same. They're 5.43. So if it's going to be like, hey, just get the bats out and let's see what happens, bring it on. I mean, I'll see. I'll take K-State's chances there at least to have a good shot and hopefully get it to that game 3. Although I do, thinking about numbers, we need to take a break. I'll tell you where I was going with that in just a moment. But as you can see, I'm wearing my home field apparel hoodie. It's the Wildcats hoodie. Very comfy today, early in the morning. I love just wearing it around the house. Nice casual, but you can also wear it at Bramlage Coliseum, at Toynton Family Stadium. You can wear it at Bill Snyder Family Stadium, wherever you go. It's the best college gear around at homefieldapparel.com. They've got 50-plus K-State options there. Lots of old-school retro-looking clothing that is legit. Speaking of retro, there's DY in the Kentucky retro tee there. They've got 100-plus other teams if you want to spread your wings a little bit, like Derek Young. But get to homefieldapparel.com. You can get 15% off your first order using promo code 3MA23. Again, that's promo code 3MA23 for 15% off your first order, and we're back in just a moment.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest-ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
So, Cole, when I start thinking about supers, and I was like, get it to a game 3, let's see what happens. I'm like, yeah, you start to have flashbacks. Like, that 2013 team was so close to Omaha, man. I mean, just like excruciatingly close. They win the first game of the series. They get to game 3 and they lose 4-3 at Oregon State and had Blair DeBoard thrown out at home. Was that in the 9th? It was like the 8th or the 9th. Blair DeBoard got thrown out at home and would have been the tying run.
Yeah, I think it was it might have been the 8th, John. Excruciating. It was Michael Conforto, the MLB outfielder for the Mets for years, that's had a successful MLB career, that was the left fielder. And he dove for the ball, he trapped it, and he got up and he fired it home and got DeBoard. He was a catcher and, not the fleetest of foot, and gunned him out at the plate. And that was gut-wrenching, man, because, K-State fans would have a blast in Omaha. I would be so excited to go. I think all of us would probably go to Omaha and make that trip. And I think thousands of K-State fans would go up north to see that. I've always wanted to go to the College World Series. And so, yeah, I mean, look, John, you get flashbacks as a K-State fan between the NCAA tournaments and being one game away from the Final Four several times, right, over the years. And, then one game away from the College World Series, one run away. And then now here we are again in the Super Regionals with an opportunity to get over that hump. Obviously you want to win that first game, and then you have a real good shot because, I mean, you look at Virginia's pitching staff, they basically got one starter they really count on, Blanco, and they don't have much behind him. Blanco started 16 games. The rest of their team, nobody started more than 8 games. They've got, I think, 8 different guys that have 3 or more starts on the year. There is the kind of all over the place from a pitching perspective there, so you can hit them around. We can talk about Virginia a little bit more. I've got some more numbers on them in addition to what DY mentioned, but yeah, it's a huge opportunity to try and get to Omaha. You need 2 wins, and you're essentially in what's the Final Four of college baseball with 8 teams in the College World Series. It'd be, a huge thing for Kansas State baseball in this program.
I mean, on brand. I was not expecting Cole to have a bunch of numbers on Virginia, but he's got numbers on the Cavs ready to go.
I mean, what you want to do?
I'm not going to make you. You don't need to use them all right now. We've got another show this week. I'm just praising your effort here. I did not expect that.
I mean, look, I won't go through them all, but DY already mentioned they rank in the top 10 in 8 offensive categories, 9.5 runs per game, number 3 in the country, number 6 on base percentage in the country at 430%, 582 slugging percentage, ranks 4th nationally, 110 home runs, 10th most in the country. But they just went up against an Arkansas team that had the 2nd best walks per hits per innings pitched in the country at 1.23, number 3 ERA in the nation, led the country in strikeouts per 9 innings. This Virginia team is not that. Virginia doesn't strike a lot of guys out, 8.4 strikeouts per 9 innings. That ranks 128th in the country, 486 Ks and 520 innings, 94th in team ERA. You think of Virginia baseball over the years, you think of good starting pitching, to what you said earlier, John. Well, they had a 3.81 ERA last season, which ranked 4th best in the country, but they lost all 3 weekend starters. They had top 15 ERAs in the country the 2 seasons prior to that as well. And, 138th in walks allowed per 9 as well. Not a great pitching staff by any means. They don't have a ton of guys they can count on there. So if you get to that bullpen, you have an opportunity to rack up some runs. And I think Kansas State, between Wentworth and Owen Borma on the mound, they have an opportunity to at least snag one of those first couple of games. And then it's going to be, who can, rally the bullpen together, kind of Johnny Allstaff on that, last game of the series, potentially, if you get there. But look, this is a storied program. Virginia's been to 6 College World Series the last 15 years, all under Brian O'Connor, the head coach, who's been there since 2004. They made the tournament 18 times in O'Connor's 21-plus seasons at Virginia. So 55 NCAA tournament games since 2009, the most of any ACC school, 5th most in the country, 888 wins since O'Connor's first year in Charlottesville in 2004. So a big-time program, obviously won the national championship in 2015. It's going to be a big stage for Kansas State and an opportunity to knock off another prestigious program in college baseball.
It's just what you get in a super, man. I mean, the last time they were in a super, they went to Oregon State, right? I mean, that's one of the most proud college baseball programs in the country. So you're messing with the big boys now, but it's been fun to see, and I feel so good for Pete Hughes. I think took a lot of crap from a lot of people this year when things were looking a bit rockier. They've been on the bubble a couple of times and not gotten into the NCAA tournament. They break through this year and now break through big time to get to a super. So Big 12 had a really nice weekend too. West Virginia's already advanced to a super. Am I missing anybody else already on to the Oklahoma's got a shot?
Oklahoma State's got a shot, or are they in already?
They both play. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State play both today. Oklahoma against UConn, Oklahoma State at home against Florida. It's a win and you're in. Lose and you're home. Go home. It's an elimination game. You advance a super. So the Big 12 could end up with 4 teams and the super regionals. The Big 12 is 14-6 so far in the NCAA tournament.
Texas lost. They got knocked out, and UCF they actually did a lot better almost made the super, actually.
Yeah, they won 2 games. They just got knocked out against Florida State, the number 8 overall seed, had to play them twice and lost both of those games. But yeah, I mean, Big 12 has been impressive here in postseason play. Really, probably next to the ACC as most impressive teams. You think about the ACC already has 4 teams that have advanced to the super regional, and they have the number 4 overall seed, North Carolina, facing LSU on Monday to try and make it 5 teams advancing to the supers. The ACC had the number 4 seed UNC, number 6 seed Clemson, number 8 Florida State, number 10 NC State, and 12 seeded Virginia. 6 of the 19 top teams in the RPI are in the ACC this year.
And if that gives you a little perspective on it, I mean, look, Virginia, 12th overall seed. You just took down Arkansas. I know you only had to face them 1 game, but that was the number 5 overall seed. So this is doable. It is doable. It will not be easy at all. In case I'm sure, would not be the favorite. Cole, maybe do you have bet? You have some lines for us? Yeah. What is Vegas have to say about this?
Yeah, I don't know if those are out yet. DY will pull it up here, and he'll get us to see if there's any lines that they have already set for that. I mean, I'll say Virginia 29th in strength of schedule this year. K-State 27th strength of schedule in the country. So played similar schedules overall. When we talk about the non-con, I think that's a big deal. And I also just think it's, John, to your point, to expand on that, that you made earlier on in the show, like the fact that K-State was able to do this in 3 games is so big that you didn't have to play a 4th or 5th game, because if you had to play today against SEMO, let's say you dropped that SEMO game yesterday, you're probably using Owen Borma for 3 innings today after he went on Friday, and then you're probably not able to fully reset your staff the way that you wanted to go into this series against, presumably they play on Friday, but the dates and times will be announced on Tuesday, June 4th for this series and all the super regional times. But now you can reset your entire pitching staff and have everybody ready to go for this weekend because you only played the 3 games. It's just like a normal weekend series that you have. And you look at like Tyson Neighbors, he threw 67 pitches. Well, he threw on Saturday. That was the first time he pitched since May 23rd on that Thursday to end the Big 12 tournament. So he'll have had 16 days and only one outing, a big outing. But these guys should be fresh.
Yeah, and Cole, this is where I'm going to need to lean on you as the guy who's watched a lot more than I have this year. What do we think of Cole Weisenbaker? Like, is that a guy that you can put in the same sentence as the other 4 that we were mentioning there, the other 3/4?
Well, he's certainly been, I guess I shouldn't say better than I expected. You think of him when you watch him as a lefty specialist, right? He's more of a side armor, drop down guy, 2.76 ERA. But I have seen him multiple times this year. He did it against Oklahoma State and some other games where, he comes in and he gets right-handed hitters out. He did it against SEMO yesterday and giving him 3 shutout innings. So I think I would probably still feel more comfortable with him going up against left-handed hitters more so. That wouldn't want him facing a lot of right-handed guys with the power of what Virginia has. But, you got Blake Dean. Blake Dean struggled yesterday, but he's been really solid as a freshman for K-State this year. I'm trying to think, JJ Slack, who got the last 3 outs against SEMO. He's a guy that came on about midway through the season. I think he had a really good outing that Saturday game against Oklahoma State, which was one of his first appearances on the year, and that was in Big 12 play, and has come on since then. So I think they got some guys that they can string together out of the bullpen. You ideally get 5-6 innings each time from Borima, from Wentworth, but yeah. Why'd you get those betting lines?
They're not up because there's games today.
Okay. I wondered about that.
I figured we might have to wait until we have the entire field set for the supers. Yeah, it's just what happens when you sweep through it like a proud program like K-State. You just sit around and wait for everybody else to finish their foo-foo little series where they had to play some more games and all that. Okay, we do have some basketball notes. We have a football note that we are going to get to, but not before Cole tells us about our good friends at PXG Golf.
Yeah, I had an amazing experience a couple weeks ago, as you guys have heard me say, with PXG Golf. As a golfer for years, I've been hearing PXG say nobody makes golf clubs like they do, period. You know what? They're right. I went in for a fitting and saw for myself. You've heard me say it before. I've never actually had my clubs personally fitted, probably why I'm not the greatest golfer in the world, probably not hitting with the right size clubs. So went in, got fitted with golf clubs there, hit over 100 golf balls, had a technician or analyst coach, whatever you want to call them. They were tremendous to work with me. They hook you up. They've got you set up with the TrackMan analytics that are sitting there, and you just hit a ton of balls. Yeah, I was able to hit a bunch of different irons. I was able to hit the driver. Swung the PXG Black Ops driver. It's a total game changer. You're no longer going to have to sacrifice distance for forgiveness. The first 30, 40 swings with that driver, I was hitting the ball probably all over the place, and they continued to adjust the driver, the weight and the shaft and the angle of the shaft, and got it just right for me to where the last 10 to 15 balls I was hitting were going straight, which is a rarity for me, and going good distance. And really cool just like, even if you're not going to buy golf clubs necessarily from PXG, just to see the analytics, the spin rate, the velocity, the loft rate on your ball, the carry, etc. Was really fascinating to see, something I'd never done before. And that's all right there. You can see it visually on the computer next to you. They don't judge you. The staff is great. You don't have to be a great golfer. They're not going to judge you when you go in there. Their goal is to get you better and get you hooked up with the clubs that will help you moving forward. Tremendous, friendly customer service. Jacob, who was my guy that worked with me, was phenomenal to work with. Tucker of KCSN, Jordan of KCSN, they were both in there at the same time as me, and cannot say enough good things about PXG Golf. PXG made me a believer. They'll do the same for every golfer in Kansas City. Visit pxg.com/3mall to schedule your fitting at PXG Kansas City, 7517 West 119th Street in Overland Park. Get fitted for any club and you'll get a dozen free golf balls. That's pxg.com/3mall to schedule your fitting, pxg.com/3mall. Limit 1 dozen golf balls per person. Promotion ends June 30th. Other terms and conditions may apply. See store for further details.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest-ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs, straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
On the basketball front, if you are a Patreon subscriber, you know everything that we are about to say because you get informed before everybody else. And we had a nice long show the other day for our Patreon subscribers. It's patreon.com/3ma. If you want the lowdown on this, but Ugana Onienso is going to visit, actually, pretty much as we speak here on Monday. We record this Monday morning. Kentucky transfer, a big man, has been dubbed by some as Diet Cliff. Think of a version of Cliff Amore, who K-State pursued very hard. The Rutgers transfer here, so that is obviously big news. And let's just start there. There's another target that has been mentioned on Twitter by John Rothstein as being interested in K-State as well. But this is a big one, man, literally and figuratively. Onienso, I think, is somebody we all really covet, would qualify as a dude, is somebody that went through the draft process. And you could find... Cole will remind us all exactly where he was, but midway through the year was definitely on draft boards, like in the second-round draft pick. So he's a guy that has legit NBA potential and could be a real rim protector, like defensive stalwart kind of guy if K-State were able to land him.
Yeah, I really like what he can do on the defensive end, right? That I would call him more of a defensive anchor than a scorer. He has upside. I mean, I think we've talked about it. The upside is there on the offensive end, but to this point, it's been pretty limited. His minutes have kind of been limited, but obviously he was a little bit of a timeshare at Kentucky. He can really run the floor. They'd love that, but he can really be the defensive anchor that they probably don't have in Manhattan just yet for this roster. David Gasson, he can be a really good defensive five, but more of a guy that's going to be switchable and maybe not a rim protector. Ugana Onienso can be a rim protector. So this would be a really good get. Unless something's changed, we expect him to be on campus at some point today to begin his official visit to K-State. So, and beyond that, there's rumblings about, K-State being a factor for Jameer Watkins. We haven't heard anything considerable on that front. I think it's probably fair to say that two schools associated with him more than anyone, at least thus far, probably St. John's and Michigan. I think I kind of see them two tied to Watkins more than anyone. You have the Coleman Hawkins stuff out there too. I think Coleman Hawkins is definitely considering K-State. I don't know that there's a visit in the plans or anything of that nature.
I mean, I think Arkansas is going to be hard to beat when it comes to Coleman Hawkins, but we'll see. There, Onienso, 7-foot sophomore, led the SEC with 2.8 blocks per game, despite only playing less than 19 minutes per contest this last year. He had a 15.4 block rate, which is the second highest in the country. 66 total blocks, finished third in the league, even while only playing 24 of the team's first 33 games on the season. He suffered a broken foot in July and caused him to miss the first 9 games of the season, so that definitely had an impact on him. But he came on as the season went on. He started 14 in the last 24 games, started to really come on as the season went. Look, he was the number 30 player in the 2022 recruiting class in the on-3 industry consensus, the number 5 center on-3 specifically. Adam is the number 18 player in the nation, the number 3 center. 19 years old, doesn't turn 20 until late September. High upside here, big-time talent. Jonathan Givony, ESPN draft analyst at one point in April, had him ranked as the 47th player in the 2024 NBA draft. I think he later, evaluated him after all the NBA workouts as the 65th ranked player, so would have fallen just out of the second round. But on April 15th, when Givony spoke to Onienso, Givony wrote, he is one of the most physically gifted prospects in this class. He's an outstanding athlete with impressive mobility, covering ground fluidly and quickness, getting off his feet for dunks and blocks. Elite rim protector. Offensive rating of around 113 this last year, but just an 11 usage, 11.2 offensive rebounding rate, which is really good. He had some big time games this year. He had 10 block shots, tying the Kentucky school record for a home game at Rupp Arena against Ole Miss. Had 8 points, 10 blocks in that game. In a 3-point loss to Florida, he had 13 points, 16 rebounds, 8 blocks against Auburn, another NCAA tournament team, 7 points, 11 rebounds. 2 blocks. He had 4 blocks or more in 7 of his team's 24 games that he played in. So you see the flashes that he has out there on the court. I think he would be a huge get for this team, just an absolute defensive anchor. Assistant coach Chuck Martin said during the season for Kentucky, quote, for people who have not seen him live, you see him on TV, you obviously know he's a 7-footer, but when you see him live, he's one of the biggest human beings in the league. The way he can move for his size defensively and pick and roll is unbelievable. So when you have a guy with that size and type of agility defensively, it gives everyone on the floor coverage that we can accomplish this rotation. He has been huge for us. Big-time talent, and I like the upside offensively, too. I think he can be far better on the offensive end of the floor than he's shown so far.
On the Jameer Watkins front, Derek brought that up. I mean, that's a wing that I think we'd all really like, Florida State transfer. John Rothstein tweeted literally 42 minutes ago as we were recording this, that he is considering St. John's, Michigan, Florida State, Oregon, K-State, and Cincinnati. So K-State does get a mention there. And then I guess the other thing would be Arthur Kaluma is still out there as somebody that could come back. And I think we're all still a little iffy, undecided on how likely we feel like that is to come to fruition or happen, but that is certainly another potential add for one of the two remaining scholarships.
Yeah, on that front, I would just say that it continues to be determined. I don't think either side is, come to the conclusion of what they want to do with that one.
You think that, Cole?
No, I mean, obviously a terrific player. On the Watkins front, terrific player. Kaluma, I guess, as of Friday, I was still personally of the belief in my mind that there's probably a better than 50% chance that, it's Ani Enzo and Kaluma to close out this roster, which I think is a successful offseason for Kansas State staff. But we'll see. I mean, there may be other guys that they're still evaluating and looking into, and I think we'll have a better sense of that over the next 7 to 10 days here on where this is going, and hopefully we get news that the staff is closed on Ani Enzo in the next couple of days. By the way, John, I did find one betting site that has the Virginia Super Regional 3 futures bet out, and what would you guys guess would be the odds for Kansas State to advance to Omaha?
Plus 190.
Okay. John, what you got? John in Vegas, come on, you set the lines.
I don't know,
here.
dude. I'm not really like the betting guy at all, and I have no idea what they would do with college baseball. $1.
What? $1?
What? $1, Bob.
You've got him at plus 100 then? Is that what you're saying?
$1, Bob.
Okay, whatever. They are plus 134 to win that regional. Virginia is minus 182. So,
is that? I mean, where does that meet your expectations?
To me, that's pretty darn impressive. I mean, plus 134 is not. I don't. DY, did you check what the odds were to advance out of the Fayetteville Regional by chance? I know we talked about it a little bit on patreon.com/stream on Friday night.
I forget, but I think Arkansas was like minus 1 something. So,
okay.
So
go put your money down. Hey, this is actually perfect because speaking of odds, I was about to tell you guys, if you have some money to plunk down on K-State to win the college football playoff, you can do that. Where did that just go? Did I not retweet that from Brett McNally? I feel like I literally just retweeted that. What is going on? K-State was 75-1. 75-1 to win the college football playoff. I also didn't see, maybe it got deleted because I didn't see where exactly that was. It just said odds to win the college football playoff. It did not give a specific place. It seriously appears to have just disappeared on me, but Utah was 60-1. They were the highest in the Big 12. K-State was 75-1. And then you had, here it is. Okay. Utah and USC were both at 60-1. Mizzou and Oklahoma were at 65-1. And then K-State at 75-1. Arizona and Kansas were at 125-1. And then Auburn, NC State, and Nebraska at 150-1. So there's some odds to win the national title.
Appreciate the NC State and Nebraska odds there, John. So
Well, I just thought, why in the hell is Nebraska on this list? I mean, they do have a very easy schedule, which underscores the point of how stupid it is, all this fighting and people shitting on Big 12 schedules on Twitter has been lately, because go look at Nebraska's schedule. They play Ohio State and a bunch of crap. I mean, that's the entire schedule that you can still get by with in a Power 2 league. So I guess I understand that, but they do not. I mean, what are we doing putting them on that list? That's pretty ridiculous. But anyway, K-State 7 in the Big 12.
DraftKings is Kansas State at 70 and Utah at 60.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, to circle back on the baseball, I think BYU mentioned on our Patreon show on Friday evening that K-State was plus 135 against Louisiana Tech going into that game on that night, and that was a 2 seed. So the fact that they're plus 134 to advance out of the Charlottesville regional against Virginia, pretty good.
I don't know that the books. I think that might be more hesitation on Virginia too, just based on where they just had Kansas State in the regional, right? That would look like a real overcorrection on K-State, in my opinion, to go from a 3 seed and underdog to Louisiana Tech to now plus 134 to make it to Omaha. So my sense would be that the books aren't really believers in Virginia more than they are believers in K-State.
Whatever it takes, the path to get there.
No, I mean, I think that's insight that they don't really think Virginia is a world beater either.
Are we going to Virginia?
I am not. No.
Yeah.
Are you going to Virginia?
Well, I'm probably not. I mean, I don't know.
Good shot, guys.
How far is the drive?
Thanks for that, Cole. Oh my God, Charlottesville.
There's a lot of dead air here. I love it.
Yeah, it's great podcasting today. Nice.
Manhattan.
No, I got it. Okay. No, hang on. I'll take you. So we'll start from Spring Hill and then go Charlottesville, Virginia.
I have
Cole's drive from Spring Hill to Charlottesville, Virginia is 15 hours and 17 minutes.
That's tough.
Yeah, there's a thing called planes,
Yeah, but can you get a direct flight into Charlottesville? Or can you fly into Charlottesville?
I'm sure you can fly into Charlottesville. Direct flight, I doubt it. Not from Kansas City. Kansas City goes like 10 places.
Would you fly to Richmond? I mean, Richmond's there.
Yeah, probably. It's DC, right? Not far, maybe? I don't know.
Charlottesville have an airport? Looks like the population's only 44,000.
What's Manhattan? 50 has an airport.
Yeah, we're elite. So. Yes.
I mean, yeah. Fly MHK, not a sponsor, could be. Fly MHK, everybody. FlyMHK.com.
Yeah. Well, go Cats. Not down Virginia.
Can we really, why is Auburn on this list as well with Nebraska at 150-1? Auburn is a disaster of a situation.
Why I was wondering why you were shouting out Auburn's lines and NC State, Nebraska, but clearly that was just part of the tweet included.
Missouri's 35-1 at DraftKings.
Missouri's taking a step back. Come on, dude. Eli Drink, that is not happening again. Although they're another one. Go look at their patsy-ass schedule. I mean, big bad SEC. Go look at Mizzou's schedule. That was another argument that was happening. Mizzou fans going after Oklahoma State's schedule this year. And I was like, they both have 2 top 25 teams on them. One of them is Alabama for Mizzou, but that ain't Saban anymore. Okay? Get out of here. All that. You still got enough crap in those 2 conferences that you're going to wind up with teams that have fluffy schedules.
I know how to trigger.
I was hoping, Cole, I wouldn't have expected to really give me much. I was hoping DY could give me something on Auburn and Nebraska being there actually with 151 odds, because those are both terrible situations. Why are they even getting on the...
For Auburn, it's about recruiting. They question marks at the quarterback position, but they've recruited well in about 2 years under Hugh Freeze, so they've really upgraded the talent. Nebraska,
but they're going to play 100 freshmen this year. They're going to have to play 100 freshmen.
Yeah, they're really good at wide receivers, but do they have anyone to give them the ball? We'll see. But I mean, those odds aren't good, so I don't know why it's not like they put them in like the top 10 of odds. So
they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I mean, they're in the top 25.
I would consider Auburn's probably got a top 25 Falcon roster. Nebraska, it's just a sucker bet because they know stupid Nebraska fans will probably put money on that because they're going to the moon with Dominic Raiola at quarterback.
By the way, John, I don't appreciate
Dylan Raiola.
I don't appreciate catching a stray that I didn't expect Cole to be able to give me anything on Auburn or Nebraska, but DY, you can. Like, why don't you think I know my Auburn football?
No, that was more because you were just you were hanging me out to dry. I knew that you were hanging me out to dry. I knew that you wanted to give nothing on that.
And to put it into perspective, like Nebraska's odds aren't that high. It's on DraftKings, their odds are the same as Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, SMU, Kansas, and Iowa.
Well, Oklahoma State and Kansas deserve a hell of a lot more respect than Nebraska there. What are we doing with that? Oklahoma State and Kansas would kick Nebraska's ass up and down this year. Both of those teams.
Nebraska just seems to focus on making a bowl game before they talk ever.
I agree, but it's all about what you can sell too, and the books can sell it because of Raiola.
Yeah. Well, what are the odds for Nebraska to make a bowl? You know,
Cole, if you go,
they haven't accomplished.
I know, but their schedule this year, if they don't make a bowl game this year, it just might never happen for them.
They're over. Go for their over under win total. They're Cole 7.5.
John, look at their schedule the last couple of years. Like you would have looked at it and been like, "Oh, they'll make a bowl," and then they still don't. They lost to Northwestern and Ireland.
Yeah, go take the under 7.5 wins then.
You bet your ass I will. Taking that under. I'm going to slam that.
Up until November, this is their schedule up until the last week of October. UTEP, Colorado, Northern Iowa, Illinois. Those are all home games. Then they're at Purdue. They've got Rutgers at home. Then they're at Indiana. Like, that's how their season. We're in late October, and that is Nebraska's schedule.
I'm probably not going to slam the under now after hearing that.
I mean, they got to go to Ohio State. They go to USC. They go to Iowa, and they have Wisconsin at home to end the season. All right. They could be like 8-0. Because I know you really believe in Colorado, that Colorado will go in and win that game.
Colorado's over-under win total, I think, is 5.5.
Well, we'll have to do an over-under win totals on the Big 12 and go through that, project ahead as we prepare for football season. We're now in June.
I mean, you know what? I know we're going off on a tangent, but you know what? One surprised me, and I didn't know what to make of it, so I didn't bet it at all. SMU, first year in the ACC, right? Their over-under win total is 8, and the over is juiced.
Well, it's because the ACC it's a two-man show, and I know Miami's recruited really well. That's the other. I'm hearing the Miami hype machine get drummed up again this offseason because of how well they've recruited. Like Mario Cristobal, do something actually on the field. Mario Cristobal is like the biggest. Yeah, I was gonna say February champion. I guess now maybe it's more like December champion. And the portal. It's just weird. He can't. Whatever. He's a February champion. Okay, he wins a lot of recruiting battles. On the field. So it's a two-team league, and even that, like, Florida State's the only one that's elite. Dabo ain't elite anymore. Got news for everybody. So the ACC is just not great, DY. There's your answer. I've got all the answers. and all the college football hot takes today. But it's baseball season. I don't know why Cole is saying that June is football season. It's baseball season. I'm sure we'll talk a little more K-State baseball later on this week as we get ready for that Charlottesville Super Regional. Thanks to our friends at PXG Golf. Thanks to our friends at Holiday Distillery, of course, Home Field Apparel as well. We appreciate Nick Springer bringing this all to you behind the scenes. Our producer, as always, for Derek Young and Cole Manbeck, I'm John Kurtz. Thanks for listening to another edition of 3.